I do want to say thank you to Lawrence Tech University for the video services and recording, and to WDIV Local 4, who's streaming today's meeting. So thank you guys. And also, if you've been with us before, you know that we always bring high school and college students to every one of our lunch meetings. But after thinking it through, we decided that the combination of students with the beer and wine you'll get afterwards was probably not a great idea. So we'll pick it up again in a couple weeks by inviting our high school and college students. I do want to spend a second and thank our corporate sponsors and partners. We would not be here if it wasn't for their generosity. So thank you to those folks in the room who are part of those organizations. If you want to become involved as a corporate sponsor, we'd love to talk with you about that. Let me pitch some of our programs coming up. We've got a lot of them starting to pop onto our schedule. And next up in 2 weeks, October 30th, we'll be hosting our City of Detroit mayoral candidates, Reverend Kinlock and Mary Sheffield. That's a big deal to get them both in the same room. So that's October 30th. We'll be at the Motor City Casino for that one, and you won't want to miss that. So get your tickets to that, and there'll be more meeting announcements coming your way. I'd love to talk about this day in DEC history and the 91-year history of speakers who tell the history of our country. And Trajan and JB and Greg, you join a distinguished list of 26 others who spoke at the DEC on October 15th. There happens to be some very impressive names on this day, October 15th. Listen to these. 1976, Jimmy Carter was at the DEC. 1991, Ross Perot was at the DEC. And in the year 2020, Sal Khan from the Khan Academy was at the DEC. And so today we're pleased to add you three as our 27th, 28th, and 29th speakers in DEC history. Thanks, congratulations, and thanks for being with us. We appreciate that. Give a round of applause. Finally, we want you to use your smartphone and get involved in the program, take lots of pictures, share with your social media networks, and also you can submit a question to our panel using the QR code that you may see at some point up on the screen, but we'd love for you to do that. And those questions are going to make their way to our presiding officer, who is about to get put to work. Arn Tellem is the vice chair of the Detroit Pistons. He's made an incredible impact on our city since moving here a few years ago from Los Angeles. He's an amazing supporter of our region, city, and state. He's a supporter and board member of the Detroit Economic Club and me personally. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Arn Tellem.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be here today as we preview what promises to be another exciting season of Detroit basketball. Outside of this past weekend, it's been a great time to be a sports fan in Detroit. The Tigers gave us quite a ride in the playoffs. Let's see, how many people stayed up to watch all of Game 5? What a heartbreaker, but they have a lot to look forward to. The Red Wings just dropped the puck on their centennial season, and the Lions, though they're 4-2 and it was a tough loss last weekend, they're still among the NFL's elite teams, and they're going to have an exciting season going forward. But for all of us in the Pistons organization, we're proud to say Detroit basketball is back. Last year's turnaround was absolutely remarkable. During the playoffs, I was sitting with Ben Wallace, Isaiah Thomas, Rip Hamilton, and they told me that the sound at Little Caesars Arena was as loud as they could remember, going back to the good old days at the Palace, and all their great playoff runs. And I got to say, for me, I was at those games, especially when Ben Wallace, who I represented during that great run in '04, and I used to feel like my heart was going to burst at the Palace in those days. The noise was so loud. And I felt that again at LCA, which is fantastic. And so we're really excited about this upcoming season. And we all know that in this business, you can't rest on success. The calendar is turned on last year. A new season is upon us. We start next Wednesday in Chicago, and our home opener is less than 2 weeks away, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But our path forward has been shaped by two exceptional leaders, the gentlemen featured in today's panel. In just 16 months, they've cultivated a culture defined by grit, teamwork, and selflessness. They've assembled a group of players who genuinely enjoy competing and being around one another. That kind of chemistry just doesn't happen by accident. I've known Trajan Langdon and his family since he was an 18-year-old freshman to be at Duke University, and I had the absolute privilege to represent him. Trajan knows the game inside and out. He's smart, thoughtful, strategic. His unique perspective as a former first-round NBA pick, one of the most accomplished players in Europe, and an executive with the Spurs, Nets, and Pelicans, gives him tremendous insight and experience to build a team ready to compete at the highest level. Trajan is family to me, like a son, and I couldn't be happier that our paths have reunited here in all places, Detroit. We're in great hands with him leading basketball operations and setting the foundation for our future. And JB Bickerstaff is someone I've admired for many years. I've crossed paths with JB throughout his coaching journey in Memphis and Cleveland, where he earned widespread respect for his leadership and success. I'm also close friends, very close friends, with his father, Bernie, an NBA coaching legend. JB brings a rare blend of toughness, empathy, and connection. He knows when to challenge players, when to lift them up, and how to bring out their best. He's earned the trust of our team by caring deeply, communicating honestly, and leading with purpose. JB embodies all the values we want in our organization and in our city to stand for. And finally, leading today's discussion is a true Detroiter and a dear friend also, Greg Kelser. We know him as Special K. Greg's story is the stuff of a Michigan legend, a national champion at Michigan State, an NBA player for 6 seasons, drafted in the first round by his hometown Pistons, and for decades, one of the most trusted and recognizable voices in Detroit sports as the Pistons TV analyst. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Pistons President of Basketball Operations Trajan Langdon, Head Coach JB Bickerstaff, and Pistons TV analyst Greg Kelser.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here. It's so nice to see all of you here. Landscape's a little bit different this year than it was last year, the year before, as it regards the Detroit Pistons, and we're very, very happy about that. And these are the two gentlemen that are most responsible for that, and I'm happy to share the stage with them. So without further ado, we got a clock right there that we've got to respect. It'll start on my first question, which is
hit the button.
it's standing still right now. My first question will be for you, Trajan. When you took over last year, there was much to do with this franchise. Obviously, they were coming off a very tough season just a couple of years ago. And the job was immense, but you hit the ground running and you made some tremendous moves. What I'd like to know is, what is your assessment of the team now as you move into year 2 of your leadership?
Yeah, I think we're all very excited. I'm very excited for where we are after a year, like you said. The expectations were not what we actually accomplished last season, and a lot of that success has to do with the man here on the left. And I think we were blessed and unfortunate for him, he got let go in Cleveland, but fortunate for us, we had the opportunity to pick him up. And the biggest thing for us when I took the job was understanding what did we want the identity of this franchise to be. Obviously, you want to have an environment where your staff and your players want to come to and work, and a place where they feel that they can be the best versions of themselves every day. But in terms of a product that we're putting on the floor and a team, you got to have an identity. So bringing JB in, he was able to establish that, and I think we have a lot of continuity going into this year with the identity that we set last year. So we're excited about the group that we have.
You know, I think every press conference for a new coach that I've ever listened to, the coach talks about culture and having to change a mindset. And I imagine that means something different to everybody. What did it mean to you? How were you able to change the culture here? And what are the challenges as you move forward into your second year as a coach?
I mean, the first thing that we try to do, and this is, where Trajan and I are, in lockstep, is understanding how we treat people and how we want people to be treated when they're in our building. And so what we aim to do is with our players, with our staff, we try to treat everybody the same with the same level of respect. Because when you do that, you create an environment where people want to work and want to do more for the people that are next to them. We wanted to eliminate, as much as we could, as much of the individuality and the focus on the individual and not the team as we possibly could. The idea was to get people to buy into something bigger than themselves and help develop a chemistry. One of the things that we found just over time is if you have more chemistry or better chemistry, less talent, you'll typically overachieve. If you have more talent and not chemistry, you're going to underachieve. So trying to foster that chemistry as best we could, and we were fortunate, the guys that were here embraced it, but they genuinely care about each other. It's not a fake thing that they show up to work. Like, they genuinely care about each other's well-being. So all we had to do was stoke that a little bit. And again, you saw the results of it. We won games because we were more connected and more together than other teams. And you could see it while we were on the floor. So for us this year, we're trying to take steps forward. But it's about the process every day for us. Everything we do every single day is going to help us get the results that we want. We're not going to be a results-driven team where we're up and down emotionally depending on how the ball bounces that day, because we believe in our guys, and we believe if we stick with the process every day, they're talented enough to get the results that we want.
Can I ask both of you, with all that being said, and I firmly agree wholeheartedly, could you have even imagined in your most optimistic evaluations that the season would turn out the way it did?
No, no, no. So, we were having discussions from we're not going to be that good and we're going to win 20 to we're going to be really good and we're going to win 32. Like, that's kind of where our internal discussions were, at least in the front office. And as we went on that West Coast road trip right around Christmas, it was a big joke that he and I think there was a 10-game stretch when every game was going down to the last possession. It was absolutely insane, and these guys were stressing out, and I just duck my head in and laugh at them at the end of every game. Like, it was unbelievable. But again, when that new year broke and we started playing, we talked internally going to the trade deadline. I said a couple weeks before, we're going to assess where we're at, and if we're trending in the right direction, we're going to go for it instead of trying to mess around with a rebuild and bringing in other bad contracts. We're going to go for it. So at that point, it was like, let's go. But I didn't think we'd ever reach that point where it was we're going to be all in and actually make a move for a better player. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. There was a point, and I've told this story before, in our first preseason game. If you remember, we were playing Milwaukee, and they came out and made every shot. We're down like 21-3. I call a timeout with 8 minutes and 27 seconds into the first quarter, and the crowd starts booing us. And so I walk up to Luke Walton, one of our assistants, and I was like, hey, man, are they booing us already? But when you go back and watch the film, like, we were throwing the ball off each other's heads and kicking the ball out of bounds. And it was like, oh, shit, we'll be lucky if we win 15 games this year. But, again, because our guys did what they did, and I give them a ton of credit and they deserve it, we were able to turn it around like we did.
In order to have success with any organization, any sport, Trajan, you've got to have support from ownership. You've got to have an owner that's in with both feet, but also one that will allow you to do what you're being asked to do, kind of get out the way and let you do your thing. You have that support with owner Tom Gores. what I'd like you to do is talk about the connection, the relationship, and how that has played a part in helping you do the job that you've been asked to do with the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, it obviously started with the process and Arn reaching out and showing interest in myself and the Detroit Pistons organization. And then upon meeting Tom and having interactions with him, I could tell how genuine a human being he was. And obviously doing my due diligence, you knew what kind of businessman he's been and how successful he's been in his industry. And then you start listening to him and how he treats people, how he treats the people he works with, how he treats his family and friends. And you just realize this is the kind of genuine person that I want to partner with. And in terms of resources and support, he's been tremendous for both JB and I this whole time. And it's always been about intentionality. It's always been about bringing value. And if those are things that I need or that we need, then he's all in on creating those resources for us. And he's been incredibly supportive. We try to meet with him and talk to him as much as possible to keep him in the loop. And I always love hearing his insight on what's going on and how he can help us out.
JB, let's talk about the playoffs last year. First of all, I want to say, I know many of you got a chance to see that New York series. It was probably the best series of all the playoff matchups. But it was as weird as any I've ever been a part of in my many years of broadcasting and just being around the NBA. These two teams played 10 games, 4 in the regular season, 6 in the playoffs. They split them 5-5, and the home team won exactly twice. I mean, go figure. Two evenly matched teams, an incredible series. When you look back on that, or let me rephrase this. How long did it take you, after the disappointment of not winning that series, how long did it take before you could look back and say, man, that was something else?
Like that feeling was immediate because of where we started. So as soon as that series was over, like it was brutal, and that shot by Brunson, they keep showing over and over and over again everywhere we go. So you relive that moment, but like in reality, what our guys were able to accomplish to get to even be in that spot, was so huge for them. For them to go from a season of 14 wins to the 6th seed to in the playoffs in a game 6. To win 2 games on the road in the playoffs in Madison Square Garden, those aren't things that are easy to come by. So we were so proud of our guys and understanding what they had accomplished. Now it burns, and it still burns, and I'm glad for our guys they feel the same way because it's fueled them. And you've seen all our guys all summer long working their tails off to be better basketball players, so that when we find ourselves in that position again, we know what to do to go ahead and take care of business. But, I couldn't have been more proud of our guys from starting where we started and even getting to that point.
You both talk about cohesiveness, chemistry, those things that are critical to team success. And so, Trajan, after last year's incredible run, the camaraderie, the togetherness that was, I think, a huge part, you just talked about it, Coach, of your success, you were set to sign a player who was a critical contributor to all of that, Malik Beasley. Obviously, we know what's happening with that. It caused you to have to change directions on the fly. How difficult was that? And the new players that you're bringing in Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson, do you think that they will be able to not only bring what will be needed as far as the outside shooting, but also keep that chemistry going strong?
Yeah, I think the 3 guys the 3 vets that didn't come back, Tim Hardaway, Malik, and Dennis, were huge in our success last year. So definitely want to talk about them real quickly, and they'll be missed. But I think those 2 guys that are coming in are going to be great for our environment. They're positive human beings. They've been in this league a long time and in great programs. They've played in playoff games. I think they bring us a level of versatility. They both have size. They're both really good passers, and I think have high IQ and quiet competitors. So I don't say that just because they, went to University of Michigan either. I think we're really, I'm sorry. We're really happy to have them. Again, we'll miss those guys that were with us last year, but I think they bring a different level of versatility for us, and you can feel their positivity with our guys every day. and I think they enjoy being here. So we're excited to have him as part of our group.
One of the guys you mentioned, and Coach, I'm going to ask you to just talk about him. If my memory serves, he was here maybe two and a half months or maybe less. But Dennis Schroeder played an incredible role for your team, the success, bringing that leadership, bringing that experience once you guys decided you were all in and going for it. What was it like having a player like that come and join the team and do what he was able to do for you guys?
It was great, and that's the thing that I give Trajan a ton of credit for. He brought in guys that helped accentuate our younger guys' talent and still allowed our younger guys to grow and blossom. He didn't bring in guys that were going to overshadow those guys and take opportunities from them. And Dennis was another one of those guys. Like, Dennis did such a great job of helping Cade, being a ball handler late in games so we could get the ball to Cade in different spots. He did all the small tricky things, like we were in the bonus. It was guaranteed he was going to fall down and get a free throw for us. You know what I mean? Like, so he taught our younger guys that. He competed at a level, and give him credit. His team won the World Championships this summer, or the Eurobasket this summer, right? Germany won, and a lot of it had to do with him and the way he played and the level that he competes at. So, again, these are all valuable lessons for our young guys, and that's how you learn, is from your teammates, and then you can go out and carry it on.
The Pistons have one of the best players in the NBA now in Cade Cunningham. We're all excited about what lies ahead for him. I will give you both the opportunity to talk about Cade. Trajan, I know you've challenged him in the offseason to not settle and to build upon his All-NBA third-team selection this year. And judging from what I've been able to see in the preseason, he's done that, and he's making things look too easy out there. I know they're not as easy as he's making them. But talk about Cade, his progress, and how proud you are of him.
Yeah, to be clear, JB and I both really challenged him this summer to take a step. And the only thing I asked Cade is, you're going to work on your game, you're going to get stronger, but, this season we hope will be longer, so get in elite shape. And guys are going to now be coming after you now. You're now going to be the hunted instead of the hunter, and I think he's going to revel in that. And I think he wants to take the next step as a leader of this organization, of this franchise going forward. He takes a lot of pride in that. But he is a high character young man, highly competitive, soft-spoken, but highly competitive, wants to be great, wants to lead the Pistons back to the promised land where they were before. He's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, but I think he's ready for it. His teammates love him. He comes to work every day, and we're glad he's a Piston, that's for sure, because I know that those guys on the other side, that he's a load to guard. Like you said, he makes the game look easy at times, but I think he's done a great job to prepare himself to have a great season.
Coach, is he one of the best players you've ever coached?
Yeah, for sure. Not only you have superstar players, right? And then you have superstar player character that are culture setters also. And Cade is one of those guys. I don't say this lightly, but I put him in the level of the Tim Duncans and the Steph Currys, the way that, they carried the culture of their organization and brought other people along with him. And that's one of my favorite things about Cade is Cade doesn't need to take food off your plate to get full, right? He can continue to serve others, but then grow himself. The way he interacts with his teammates, you watch how his teammates, they want to play for him. They know how to protect him on the floor and all those things, and that's because of the type of person he is. And credit to his parents for raising him the way that they did, but they raised an outstanding young man and a hell of a basketball player.
To you both. So, I'm not asking you for a number of wins, because I already know you're not going to answer it. But I can ask, where do we go from here?
That's a great question. I can give you the political answer. It's just we're going to be better in January than we are now, and we hope to be better in April than we are in January. But I think, as JB alluded to, is we want our young core to continue to get better. And that's what we're going to focus on, is the process of them coming to work every day and us pouring into them in the weight room, in the performance, in medical, on the court, recovery, and just trying to guide them to be the best possible players that they can be. And they've been great in terms of coming in and getting the work. But there's a process that we go about every day. And for us, hopefully that equates to all these guys reaching their potential while they're members of the Detroit Pistons. And I think if our young core can do that, we have a chance to be competitors in the Eastern Conference for a long time. And that's important to us. And what's important at the end of the day, too, is keeping these guys healthy and on the floor. And JB and I talk about that all the time, is how do we manage our guys. But we're going to push them. They want to be pushed. They feel that there's an opportunity in the Eastern Conference this season. They've talked about it internally. We don't talk about it as an organization, but you can feel that they feel that. And you could see it in the work that they put in this summer. On the intentionality of that work. They were calling all of our staff members, whether they're coaches or performance members, medical members, to fly out, spend 2-3 days a week with them to work with them. We're getting reports on that. JB and I are talking about, man, these guys they're going to get it, and they were going to get it all summer, individually, small groups, as a team. So that's what's been exciting, and I think that's what lends us to be ready to go, and especially from a continuity standpoint. They know what to expect from JB and staff, and we're excited for that. But again, these guys can continue to just get better internally. I think the sky's the limit for them.
Coach, I'll let you address your fans with the last word in the 30 short minutes we have left. That made such a 10. Okay. Oh, we got 10 minutes. Okay. Well, we'll talk to your fans.
Well, fans. No, it's, again, for me, we do focus on the process. When you start to bring in, the numbers and those types of things, it just becomes noise and distractions. And if things don't go the way you want them to go, it makes everything else feel heavier. So, again, we have and will just lean into the process. And I know that sounds like coach speak, but I apologize, but that's what it is, because that's what's important to us. There was a decision made this summer because we believed in the guys that we had very easily. Like, we had some guys play well. There's other teams that want them. We could have made some sort of a move to bring in, an older veteran player or whatever. But there's a belief in our building in the guys that we have. And it's our responsibility, like Trajan said, to give them everything that we have and help them reach their potential. And to be honest with you, the way that they played last year, the way that they worked, the way that they committed themselves to each other, they deserve that. They deserve a chance together to see how good they can actually grow to be. And then it's all of our responsibility to give them everything that they need, right? We have to be able to give them our time. We have to be willing to be on the floor with them, come back in the gym late at night with them, in the weight room performance. They have everything you could possibly imagine, nutrition, all that stuff, in order to help them get to where we believe they can be. But there's belief in this group that they can.
All stuff I wish had been in place when I was playing. Nutrition? Nah. I will say this. When I look back on last season, I was amazed at how you guys were consistently able to handle adversity. Obviously, the biggest one was losing Jay Nivey, who was having a great year, and broke his leg on the very 1st of January. And then the team actually seemed to get better after that. But I remember there were 2, if I'm not mistaken, back-to-back games where you lost at the buzzer, to Atlanta and to Cleveland on last-second shots. There are teams that would have faltered after that. But I think, I look back, and it has to be that chemistry that you talked about and how you guys were able to overcome whatever you were facing, which was fun to watch. I'm on the road with these guys, and we're able to see from up close just how much they do enjoy being around each other and how much they do pull for each other. There was one kid, and I'll ask you to talk about him. There's one young man who I really had to tip my hat to, and that was Marcus Sasser, because when you made the decision to go for it and you picked up Dennis Schroeder, that pretty much eliminated Marcus Sasser's role as a backup on the team. But man, did he accept that. He worked hard, and I even told him one time, I admire what you're doing, because he was cheering for his teammates. When Cade hit the big shot in Miami to beat them at the buzzer, the first guy jumped off the bench to go hug him was Marcus Sasser. And that's not easy to do, folks, when you're competitive and you want to play and you feel like you're supposed to play and you put in the time and everything. But he accepted that. And that, again, I think is a tribute to the leadership, the coaching.
No, he is not alone in that. And that's what I thought about Sass, is like, he might not play for 2 weeks. And then if things weren't going the way we wanted to and we needed some sort of an energetic change, we just throw Sass out there and he would create havoc and he would make something happen. You watch him away from it, and he was always prepared. So, like, even though he wasn't playing, he was doing extra conditioning. He was doing all the things necessary so that if his number was ever called, he'd be ready to go. And again, him, Paul Reed, I think about a guy like Ron Holland, right? Like, Ron Holland was the 5th pick in the draft. Normally, when you're the 5th pick in the draft, people let you play 35 minutes. You play through mistakes. You just get to go out and run and hoop, so to speak. But Ron, every night, played his role, and he did what the team needed him to do. I know he wanted more, right? He's that competitive, but he never once let his own stuff get in the way of impacting the team. And I think to a man, all the guys that were here last year and the group that's here this year, like, the team is the priority. And again, like you said, that starts with leadership. Tobias Harris is one of those guys that is so selfless, has accomplished so much in this league, but again, doesn't take from anybody. All he wants to do is help. And I think about, like, what he did in that playoff series for us, having to guard Karl Anthony Towns every night, the way that he rebounded the ball, like his level of intensity and commitment to winning, helped lead our guys and put us in the position that we're in. So, again, we are fortunate to have the group of guys that we have here in Detroit and get to coach them and work with them every day.
Yeah, and I forget to mention, as a part of that New York series, losing Isaiah Stewart, who was supposed to guard Karl Anthony Towns for a good period of time and did a fantastic job the one game that he did. But it was a fun season last year. I anticipate that we'll have as much fun this year watching this team grow, and wherever they end up is where they end up. But, having some quality guys and great leadership and from the ownership on down, I think puts us in a unique place, and we're happy that it's happening right now in the city of Detroit. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Arn Telton, stage is yours.
We have some great questions from the audience. So, JB, I'll start with you if you don't mind. When did you decide to go into coaching? How much of an influence did your father have on your choice? And what did you say would be the greatest lessons from your dad on coaching?
I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a coach. My mom's, funny enough, still has this notebook. I don't know if they have spiral notebooks anymore for kids, but it was an old spiral notebook that I had drawn up plays in from when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So in my mind, I knew that I wanted to be a coach. And the reason was both of my parents. My mom was a school teacher for 20 plus years. Obviously, my dad was a coach. But coaching and teaching are so much alike. So I was able to watch my mom and the sacrifices that she made, to help young people grow and become, young adults. She was a middle school teacher. And I watched her. I would go to school with her. And then obviously I would go to work with my dad and watch what he did. And the impact that I saw both of them have on helping other people and then helping to build team, something that's greater than self. And that was something that I knew from a young age that I wanted to do. The thing that I learned from my dad is he always told people the truth. And I thought that was one of the things that, it wasn't always easy, and people don't always want to hear the truth. But if you do tell them the truth, eventually, they'll get it and understand it. And it hit me one day. I was an assistant for my dad my first year in Charlotte we were the Bobcats at the time, and we were actually playing here in Detroit. And a player who was then on the Pistons left the jump circle before the game. And this guy's in the Hall of Fame now. I won't say his name, but was a great player. He came up to my dad and he said, "Hey, Bernie, I just want to thank you." He said, "I didn't know what you were doing for me back then, but I finally figured it out." And from that point forward, it was just like this is how you go about business, and it's helped me, carry myself in my career.
That's great. Next question. I'll give this one to you, Trajan. I know you sort of talked about it, but the question is, what steps has the organization coaching staff taken to close the gap on the teams ahead of us in the Eastern Conference? And what is the path to try for us to get to be one of those teams that's in, competing for an Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I
It may
think
not be this year, but as you look ahead for how to build the organization.
Yeah, I think our biggest internally in the front office when we talk about our roster, and I alluded to it a little bit ago, is trying to understand exactly what our young core are as in terms of what their ceiling is, and understand exactly who Jalen Duren is. I think we have a pretty good sense of where Cade is going, who is J.I., who is Asar Thompson, who is Ron Holland. I think we need to give ourselves an opportunity to understand who those guys can be, what their potential is. And I think with the coaching staff and the developmental staff that we do have, we have everything in place that are going to get them. We have the resources in place to get them to that. Our challenge is going to be, when we do understand that, what are the pieces that we need to add? Do we need to go make a big move? Do we have enough here to take that big step? And if in fact we do need to make that move, when is it and who is it? And I think right now, this is not the time to press the proverbial gas pedal. I don't know when will be, but that is going to be our biggest challenge, to understand when, who that is, and how to do it. So those are the things that we talk about all the time. Hopefully we'll never have to do that because everybody's in place here, but we'll continue to assess. And when you have a coach and staff and a head coach like JB, it makes it a lot easier to understand that we are getting the most from these guys. And so it makes it easier to understand who these guys will be. But now these guys have so much more upside than they're showing, and we're just going to try to get them there.
And JB, here's one for you. If you could change one rule regarding NBA play, what would it be? No technical fouls?
No, I was getting ready to say something that was about to get me fined, so that was the first thing that popped in my head. But I'll save myself a little bit of money for right now. If there's one rule change, this was you guys, it was a FIBA rule at one time, but where the referee didn't have to hand the ball to the inbounder in the backcourt. So like you could get.
It happens right now in the ACB.
Oh, does it
In the
still?
Spanish
Okay,
league,
yeah.
in the back.
So there's a rule now where if you take the ball out in the backcourt, the referee slows the game down and has to wait and hand the ball until everybody gets set. But in the ACB and the old FIBA, like you could just run, take the ball out, and throw it ahead. So you could play quicker. You could get some cheap buckets because teams wouldn't get back. But that would be the one that I would change.
Okay. And Trajan, talk about, the NBA really is truly a global sport, and almost 30% of the players are now from overseas. You played in Europe. What would you say was the impact of the influx of European players coming to the NBA, and on how it affected the style of NBA play? And how do you see the style of NBA play evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, good questions. I think the time that I played in the NBA personally and grew up watching, it wasn't a lot of movement in the game. And I know JB can speak to this because we grew up watching the same game, but you get your best players the ball, they go one-on-one from the block or up top, very little pick and roll back in the day, and the other guys are kind of standing around playing. In my time when I went from 99 to 02 in Cleveland and went to Europe, it was just a lot more movement, a lot more not only ball movement but player movement. I think we prepared more for it, and there's just, even though the court was shrunk, there was more space to operate because they had a lifted four, so a lot more skill over there. And I think when you had bigs that were more skilled in Europe at the time, and I think now that the bigs that have come over from Europe have changed the game, that these guys are skilled, they play on the perimeter, they open the game up, and I think seeing that has changed the way the game is played with pace, cutting, skilled bigs shooting and passing from the perimeter. So that's the thing that I see. In terms of where it's going the next 5 to 10, it's a great question. I think you're going to get the game's just getting bigger. I think you're just getting bigger at every position. Every team's talking about double bigs. If you look at the Houston Rockets lineup that they're pouring out there, there's nobody less than 6'7" on the floor at times. So I think that's where this game is going. You're just going to, with the skill level, these young players. I have a son who's 17, played on the AAU circuit, and just the skill level of these guys at the size is just, it's awe-inspiring, especially looking back on when I was playing at 16, 17 years old. Like, everybody 6'7" and above was a center, whereas everybody 6'7" above now is playing on the perimeter. So that's where it's going. These guys are just getting bigger, faster, stronger, and more skilled at the same time.
And JB, talk about, going with what Trajan was saying about size. We have, I would say, an elite of the elite athletes in Asar Thompson. He's probably in the upper 1 percentile of elite athletes in any sport. What do you think of his? What does he bring to the team, and his impact on the court, and how do you see his future?
I mean, his future's bright. He's such a unique basketball player as far as his skill set to mix with his athleticism. And it's funny, we were talking about, Cade and I were talking about Asar one day and his brother, and Cade said to me that something I thought was really profound. He said, it's like he plays on a different level of gravity than the rest of us. Like the way he runs, the way he jumps, as quick and powerful as he can do it. There's just not many people like him. The things that we get to do with him defensively, the way we can let him trap, he gets out in transition. But he's such a mixed bag of skills that the best thing you can do is put the ball in his hands and give him an opportunity, to kind of create. And we've been doing more of that this year in the preseason games. If you watched us, the ball has been in his hands a ton so that he can make those plays and get more comfortable, but use his advantage because our team gets much faster when we put the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and he's a great kid, just a great young man. Trajan, everyone's talking about NIL and the impact it's had on collegiate sports.
I didn't get any of that, by the way.
I know you.
None of us
You
did.
didn't help me with that.
I wasn't able to get you that, but
Back in the day, it wasn't NIL. It was cash envelopes. Yeah. Ask him if he got any of those.
but what would you say? I mean, put aside the crazy world of collegiate sports now. The impact of NIL has had on the NBA and the NBA draft and players coming into the league.
No, it's a good question. We talk about that especially this past draft, because you go out and as a scouting staff, we go out and we project the top 60 players and who's going to be in the draft. And so therefore, who do we actually go spend our time going to scout and actually dive into and understand how they're going to project not only into the NBA, but as a Detroit Piston. And so they finished the season, and we have guys that we think are pretty good players from, we had the 37th pick this year. So we thought, we have a pretty good allotment there's about 10 guys that we think could go anywhere from 33 to 43 that we would like at 37. And all of a sudden, these guys they hit the portal and they start getting 2.2, 2.5, $3 million. And you're like those 10 players go down to 2. And so that obviously affects not only your ability to draft a higher level player when you're in the second round, but also how expensive it is to then move up in the draft. Because if there's 43 good players, now there's only 32 good players, the whole league figures that out. And so that 31st pick, if you want to go from 37 to 31, becomes very, very expensive. Whereas if everything would have stayed the same, it could have been 2 second-round picks, and now it's a first-round pick to move up 6 slots. So I think every draft is different, but that is the way that the NIL is affecting the draft for sure. When you get up in those figures, those guys don't want to come to the NBA for 1.2 on a rookie contract when they can go to Michigan or, Arizona or Duke or Kentucky for $3 million. It becomes obviously a financial decision that becomes easy.
Okay. All right. Now, the famous lightning round. And Greg, you're able to participate in this. These are quick answer questions. So we'll start, and Greg, we'll start with you, and we'll go down to JB, then to Trajan. The person other than a family member you would like to have lunch with?
I think for me, that would be the former United States President, Barack Obama.
Okay,
Oprah Winfrey.
not bad.
It'd be boring. I got to say Barack Obama as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we'll go back. Trajan, you start this round.
Okay.
Your favorite Detroit area restaurant?
Wilder's.
Okay.
Uber Eats. I don't go anywhere.
Okay,
so
that's good.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
I've never had a bad meal at Stony River Grill in Troy.
Okay. I'm going to say Vicino. No one asked me, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
That's number 2 from the Army.
Let's see. How about, Greg, the TV show you last binge-watched?
Don't laugh, y'all. General Hospital.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. Mine is Chief of War on Apple TV. Yeah. Really good. Oh, it's awesome.
Black Rabbit.
Okay. All right, and Trajan, how about your favorite vacation spot?
I like Cabo San Lucas, down in Mexico.
Okay.
Turks and Caicos.
And now it's my turn to be boring. Cabo.
I didn't get the invitation.
All right.
It's coming.
No Europe. Okay. All right. Greg, you get to pick any musician/band for a private concert in your backyard for your family and friends. Who is it?
Sadly, both are deceased, but it would be a toss-up between Ray Charles and Luther Vandross.
Jay-Z. We had the same party. Yeah, come on over.
Okay, I'll come to your house, Jay-Z.
All right, the final one. Trajan, we'll start with you. Advice to your 25-year-old self.
I think it's stay confident, stay genuine, give back to those that have helped you and those that you can help, carve their path in the future too. So I'm a huge advocate on giving back. I really want to do more, especially here in Detroit. I don't think I've done enough, but I think looking back, I wish I would have done more, especially in terms of that, giving back to the youth and the people that, especially helped me out, pay it forward a little bit more than I have, so.
That's a good one. A lot of that, but also, like, no matter what, just keep working. If you keep working, you keep showing up every single day, good things typically happen for you. And then, continue to treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Thank you. Greg?
I think for me, it would be to, just to continue to try and be a landmark. I think back to the things I've been able to enjoy and achieve in my life, and I know for sure I could not have done any of it without the help of others. There are many landmarks in my life, and I'm trying to be that for other people.
All right, well, thank you all. Let's have a round of applause for and Steve, back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Great job. So Trajan, JB, and Greg, you're good. You're terrific. I know how busy you are. Thank you, and go Pistons. Aaron, it's always a pleasure when you're involved in a DEC meeting. Thanks for your continued support. And because the Pistons are so generous, we're about to give away, thanks to them, a couple of club tickets, very good tickets, for an upcoming game late in October. So thanks to Rob and team and Aaron and team and the Pistons. Thank you, guys. So ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to stick around now. Enjoy food and beverage. You got a couple of bars on each side of the room. They're going to wheel some great food out there. I would just ask you to tell your friends and colleagues to join the DEC. We're a bunch of really cool people. So on time, every time, this meeting of the DEC is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.